part 4 because I just, yeah, sort of. So they could say, we didn't know this was going to happen, and the solution is to get rid of Trump. How do you get rid of Trump? If Republicans, get buyer's remorse, it takes like 7 or 8 senators to say, "Oh, we didn't vote for this," and their voters would have to say, in their states, would have to say, in mass, it would have to be a massive amount, to tell their senators, no, just no, save Ukraine, Salva Ukrani, and all the stuff that we didn't listen to. Now we know we were wrong. We don't like this. Because here's where I was going before I answered my phone and got a fresco. The cabinet isn't going to say he's disabled, and frankly, he's not disabled. We now know that he's angry, he's irascible, he's probably got ADD, and he's vengeful, but that's not a disqualification for office. And it doesn't matter because there's not enough people to in the cabinet. The cabinet's pro Trump. The cabinet is not going to remove, and the vice president aren't going to remove Donald Trump. There aren't the votes in Congress. There might be. It would take 2/3 of both houses to say Trump's crazy or stupid and unable to serve, and that's a high bar in the House. Now, are there 2/3 of them who would go with that, and who would override Trump vetoes? Yeah, there's that many people. Well, back then anyway, back in 2021, on January 7th, there are enough Republicans who did not vote to stop the steal. They voted with the Democrats. They broke party ranks so that because it was a safe vote, silly vote, but a safe vote. It was a silly vote to say stop the steal. So, but they were saying, and they said, no, that's it was a safe vote on either side because it's too far till the election. But those 50 or so members, 60 or so members, are enough to, with the Democrats or they were enough then to get a 2/3 majority. I'm not sure now. It'd be a close thing. But yeah, it might be that it's 100, but there may only be 50 or 60. So it would be 60 would be enough. 50 might be enough to give a veto-proof majority to sane people in Congress. On the House side, it's easier to do in the Senate side. You just have to get you have to get enough. You have to get 19 or 20. I don't know what the margin is now. You'd have to get 20 Senate Republicans to become Senate Democrats. It would take that much to have a veto-proof Senate, to just veto everything that Trump does and pass laws that say he can't do this and can't do that, and just destroy his power. And that's within their duties to do and their constitutional powers. And if they did that, then Trump couldn't do any of the stuff he's doing now. Just none of it. They could cut him off at the knees. They could say we're for Ukraine, all of this stuff. Don't buy, and it would be and Trump then saying, ordering people into combat to put the thumb of the United States Air Force behind or Navy behind Russia's in support of Russia. Yeah, they couldn't do that. Trump couldn't do that. It would be an iffy thing, but we've stripped presidents of their power before. They can do it again. It'd be a little iffy, but I think probably generals would do a sigh of relief that they're not going to follow a madman into stupid action against the interests of the nation. In a way that they could mutiny, they also would gladly go with what the Congress says. Because Pete Hegseth and company, they're not going to remove him. You'd have to have 2/3 of each house to say Trump is disabled. You just need a majority in the House to impeach him, because you can impeach him for anything. And then you'd have to have 20 senators to impeach him, to remove him. They could even say, we were wrong about that we trusted, you could retry the January impeachment. There were enough votes, there's enough senators who would say, you know what, we're a government of laws, not just votes, and take it on the chin and remove Trump. But they have to know that that's not going to cost them. That they have to know that the public is with them, and that the public is not with Trump. There would have to be such a swell in Republican states to say, we didn't know we were voting for this, even though we did. We weren't paying that much of attention. We were wrong. Remove him. They'd have to do that in enough voice in those states controlled but where there's a Republican senator to say, change it now. Hold him responsible for the insurrection. Remove him. We know you didn't think you could do that then, and the DOD would take care of it. DOD did not. They could even pass a law saying that because there's prosecutors who would, in a heartbeat, bring back that evidence and get rid of Trump, and arrest him. Try him for insurrection, and I'm sure in D.C. he would be convicted. Maybe not, but they could get rid of the Office of Legislative Counsels or Office of General Counsel memo that prevents it. You could do that by law. The DOJ, you could have done it Biden could have done it. He didn't. He could have had his OLC people look at that memo and say, is this real? He didn't do it. Order them to look at the history of it and say, because the judge, one person could have stopped this. The judge in Trump's criminal trial could have said, under Rule 48A, you cannot stop the trial, and further, the OLC memo that you're basing your argument on is impermissible and unconstitutional because it makes the president a king. She could have said it. She did not. Judge Chutkan, the one person who's the last line of defense was Judge Chutkan. Judge Chutkan went with democracy over the rule of law. The rule of law would have said, get him. Mitch McConnell said, we think the rule of law is going to work. You can get him. We're not going to get him. He didn't get him. And Trump could bomb Ukrainian positions. Yes. And it would be a legal order because Trump's got plenary authority to make foreign policy, pretty much. And if he wants to get in bed with Putin for whatever reason he wants to, He can. We should have known he was going to. Republican voters should have known he was going to. They did not. So much for Salva Ukrani, right? And that's what's, again, that's why I'm doing the video. So, yeah, that's how to stop it. It takes Republican voters to switch 20 senators and like 5 congressmen, Republican congressmen, to switch to Akeem and make it for the purpose of impeaching the president. It takes because you can't make him disabled without 2/3 of the House going along with it on a permanent basis. And you can't have congressional government without 2/3 of the House denuding him of power on a permanent basis. So, impeachment is like the only thing that's going to stop the Trump juggernaut, if people want it stopped. This is assuming that democracy isn't just working. The result of the way we do things is that, we listen to the people, and the people can be idiots. They certainly didn't. We like to think that they didn't believe in all of what was happening on the first day, but they voted with the people. The new voters were voted with Musk. The people who Musk got into the program were the ones who switched the election. I mean, they were enough to make sure that Trump won. The Muscovites, I mean, they were the thing that put him over the top. So it actually is, the will of the people, all the things that Musk put his name on. Musk said it himself. We had a mandate. Not really, it was pretty close, but he has a mandate. He put him over the top, and he's now, the victors claim the spoils. So everything is predictable. I should have predicted the abortion thing. Yeah. Until we solve that, we're going to have years like this. And again, the only way to stop it, the only way to reverse this, is for 5 members of the House and 20 members of the Senate to say no. Absolutely not. We're not going to, it would take less of that to stop a lot of what Trump's doing and give him a budget he'd have to spend. But, it can happen on a low, low conflict area where if the courts back them up and, enough people in the Senate vote for the rule of law and go and roll Trump and vote with the you could have Democrats in charge of both sides fairly easily. That's 5 votes on each side. But to really get it right and to really save Ukraine, you need 20. And that's why I'm making this video. It's about saving Ukraine, pure and simple. And, whether destroying Russia is a good thing or not, I'm an old Cold Warrior. Destroying Russia has been my life's work. So, yeah. It's, you've got, if there are those who are former Republicans who are with me on this, then, talk to your senators. If you don't remember, if you're young and you don't remember that, call your senators and say we support Trump. In those, but that's where we are now. We're a democracy. So, as ugly as it can be. So, but I'll talk more about this in a second.